He was once the wild-haired genius of British comedy, a fast-talking, leather-clad rebel who charmed the world, from stand-up stages to Hollywood red carpets. A man who dated pop stars, challenged the media, and even went toe-to-toe with Parliament. But now, he's facing the fight of his life. Not a movie script, not a punchline, real charges, real victims, and possibly, real prison time. Russell Brand. You've heard the name, you've seen the headlines, but behind the headlines, there's a tangled story of fame, power, secrets, and justice chasing after them. This is not just another celebrity scandal. This is the unraveling of a media icon. From the height of British stardom to being charged with rape and sexual assault, 5 serious charges covering years of alleged abuse. And what's more chilling? These incidents allegedly took place when his fame was just beginning to rise. When millions were laughing, was someone else crying in the dark? In this video, we're going deep, not into gossip, but into the full, shocking timeline, the accusers, the reactions, the court updates, and the dangerous double life that may have been hiding in plain sight. How did he fool so many? Why are the allegations only surfacing now? What's next in this courtroom drama? Stick with us, because by the end of this video, you might never look at Russell Brand the same way again. This is the story of charm, chaos, and consequences. Let's begin.
Chest out, shoulders back. For Russell Brand, known for his
Before the
rapid
charges, before the headlines, there was the story of a comeback king. Russell Brand wasn't born into fame, he fought his way into it, clawing through addiction, poverty, and rejection to become one of the UK's most recognizable faces. His early life, pure chaos. Raised by a single mum in Essex, battling bulimia as a teen, kicked out of drama school for drug use. By all accounts, Russell shouldn't have made it. But somehow, he did. He broke onto the British comedy scene in the early 2000s, not as a clean-cut TV host, but as a raw, unfiltered, hyper-intelligent hurricane. His jokes were rapid-fire, wrapped in big words and even bigger hair. He wasn't just funny, he was dangerous, magnetic, a bit mad, but you couldn't look away. TV loved him. Channel 4, BBC, MTV, all gave him shows. Fans adored his wild, poetic monologues, his no-rules attitude. He talked about sex, drugs, revolution. He dated Katy Perry, starred in Hollywood comedies like Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and even debated politics on live news, and somehow, made it funny. By 2010, Russell wasn't just a British celeb. He was a global voice. A man who had turned his addiction story into a redemption arc, now preaching mindfulness, meditation, and freedom from the system. He went from heroine to Hare Krishna, from womanizer to wellness guru, but while the public saw transformation, some say the mask was slipping. Behind the charm, the sharp tongue, the big ideas, there were whispers. Ex-girlfriends describing emotional abuse, reporters dropping hints, a strange silence from those who knew him best. Was it just his eccentric nature, or was something far darker going on? As his fame soared, the cracks were growing. But the world wasn't watching yet. That would change, dramatically, years later.
Hello.
While Russell Brand was basking in the glow of global fame, something unsettling was quietly bubbling beneath the surface. It didn't start with the courtroom. It started with whispers, comments, awkward interviews, former colleagues with tense smiles, a few brave voices questioning the reality behind the enlightened image Brand was selling. It wasn't just his wild past. It was the pattern that followed him. Former flings described relationships that felt controlling. Some said he blurred the line between charisma and manipulation. A few women even hinted at inappropriate behavior behind the scenes. But every time, the spotlight moved on. Russell was too fast, too loud, too entertaining. The man was chaos personified, and that made it easy to dismiss the quiet discomfort behind the scenes. In 2006, he was fired from MTV for showing up dressed as Osama bin Laden the day after September 11. He got booted from the BBC in 2008 after leaving an explicit voicemail on actor Andrew Sachs' answering machine, a scandal known as Saxgate. These weren't just harmless jokes, they were glimpses into a man who didn't believe the rules applied to him. And yet, with every misstep, he bounced back. Bigger, louder, more adored. Journalists tried to dig deeper, but often got brushed off. Media execs looked the other way. After all, Brand got views. He sold tickets. He went viral before viral was a thing. Why ruin the magic? Then came the pivot. In the 2010s, Russell began preaching transformation, sobriety, spiritual growth, truth-seeking. He became a podcast philosopher, mixing yoga with revolution, meditation with conspiracy. Many believed he had truly changed. Others, weren't so sure. Some insiders described it as a clever rebranding, not healing, but hiding. Behind the beard and the Bhagavad Gita quotes, they claimed, was the same old Russell, just better disguised. The world saw enlightenment. Some women saw manipulation, and then, in 2023, the silence broke, allegations, real names, public testimonies. Russell Brand's world began to collapse. But this wasn't just about fame, this was now a criminal matter. The question was no longer did he go too far, it became, was he dangerous all along?
Comedian and actor Russell Brand appeared in court
in September 2023, the bombshell dropped, and the illusion shattered. A joint investigation by The Times, The Sunday Times, and Channel 4's Dispatches aired a documentary titled Russell Brand, in Plain Sight. The title wasn't chosen lightly. It suggested something chilling, that these alleged abuses didn't happen in secret. They happened while the cameras were rolling, while the world was laughing, while nobody asked questions. 4 women stepped forward. Their stories were deeply disturbing, and alarmingly similar. One woman, only 16 at the time, claimed she was in a controlling and abusive relationship with Brand while he was in his 30s. She says he once forced her to perform sexual acts against her will, and described his behavior as manipulative and degrading. Another woman accused him of rape, saying Brand assaulted her at his Los Angeles home in 2012. She claimed she went to a rape crisis center immediately after. Emails were shown, messages that supported her story. This wasn't just gossip anymore. This was evidence. More women began to speak. Claims of sexual misconduct, coercion, aggression. Most of the alleged incidents took place during the height of Brand's fame, between 2006 and 2013. The years he was on TV every week. The years he was the face of edgy British comedy. The years he became a star. Brand denied all accusations. He claimed it was a coordinated media attack to silence his political activism. But that explanation rang hollow as Scotland Yard stepped in. In April 2025, Brand was officially charged with 5 criminal counts, 1 count of rape, 1 count of oral rape, 1 count of indecent assault, 2 counts of sexual assault. The charges span from 1999 to 2005, suggesting these incidents may have started even earlier than previously thought. The legal case had begun. This wasn't Twitter outrage or cancel culture. This was the justice system. He appeared in court on May 30, 2025, at Westminster Magistrates Court. Reporters packed the room. Brand, looking composed in a dark suit, pleaded not guilty to all charges. The judge granted him conditional bail, but a date was set, June 3, 2026. That's when he'll stand trial at the Old Bailey, the same historic court where the UK tries murderers, terrorists, and the most serious offenders. The nation was stunned, not just because of the charges, but because they'd always believed Brand had changed. He talked about healing, truth, awakening. But these charges painted a much darker picture. A man who may have worn redemption as a disguise. His fans were divided. Some still supported him. Others unfollowed overnight. And many, especially women, felt vindicated. They'd always known something was off, and now, the truth was crawling into the light. This was no longer about comedy. It was about justice.
From back when he was at the height of his fame.
The moment
Now
the allegations became public, the world reacted, and it reacted hard. For some, it was heartbreak. For others, bitter confirmation. The man they once saw as a reformed rebel was now being spoken of in the same breath as abusers and predators. Social media exploded. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, timelines were flooded with clips, reactions, hashtags like #RussellBrandExposed, #JusticeForSurvivors, and #BelieveWomen. For every supporter still clinging to his awakening narrative, there were dozens speaking out in disbelief and outrage. YouTube channels posted hour-long breakdowns. Former fans publicly burned his books. His podcast platform pulled episodes. His comedy tour, cancelled. But perhaps more shocking were the celebrities and comedians who spoke out. Some stayed silent, uncomfortable, maybe unsure what to believe. Others, like former co-stars and radio colleagues, hinted they had seen the warning signs. "We always knew there was a line," one anonymous insider told a UK tabloid. But nobody wanted to be the one to call it. The charities Brand had supported began cutting ties. One animal welfare group released a statement, "We are horrified by the charges and stand by survivors." Even wellness communities, once his biggest fans, began to turn. His self-help content, once seen as insightful, now felt sinister to many viewers. And still, his most loyal followers refused to believe it. Some called it a smear campaign, others blamed the media. But as the legal charges became undeniable, even some of his defenders began to fall quiet. The world that once cheered for Russell Brand was now holding its breath, watching, waiting, because this time, there was no comeback special, no witty apology, no joke to end on, just a man, and the weight of justice closing in. Now, everything comes down to the courtroom. On June 3, 2026, Russell Brand will walk into the Old Bailey, one of the most historic and serious criminal courts in the UK. It's where terrorists, serial offenders, and the country's most controversial figures have faced justice. And now, it's where Brand will try to prove his innocence. While his accusers fight to be believed, the trial is expected to be long, intense, and brutal. Lawyers on both sides are preparing for a media circus. Cameras won't be allowed in court, but every detail, the testimony, the cross-examinations, the evidence, will be dissected on social media, podcasts, news panels, and YouTube channels around the world. It won't just be a trial, it'll be a cultural event. The stakes, massive. If Brand is found guilty, he could face years, even decades behind bars. His legacy, already damaged, would be completely destroyed. He would go from icon to inmate. The redemption arc, the rebirth image, the wellness guru act, all of it would be shattered under the weight of hard truth. But if he's found not guilty, that will bring its own chaos. His supporters will claim victory, critics will say justice failed, and the accusers, already under public scrutiny, will face even more backlash. The truth is, no matter the verdict, the damage is already done. Russell Brand's reputation is now forever linked to these allegations. And then there's the bigger question. What does this trial say about how long powerful men can escape accountability? How many were complicit? How many chose to laugh? Instead of ask questions, the world will be watching, not just for the outcome, but for what it reveals about the systems that allowed someone like Brand to thrive for so long. This trial isn't just about what happened behind closed doors. It's about what was allowed to happen in plain sight. The truth, whatever it is coming, and this time, nobody's laughing.
Let's go to live now to 9's Europe correspondent Jess Millwood in London. Jess, the case goes.
So now we wait. A man once seen as a comedic genius, a cultural rebel, a voice for the woke, now stands in the crosshairs of the legal system. His past, once romanticized as wild and edgy, is being re-examined through a much darker lens. What was once seen as quirky or outrageous now feels like a series of warnings the world chose to ignore. Russell Brand may be innocent. He may be guilty. That is for the court to decide. But here's the hard truth. Even if he walks free, the conversation won't end there. Because this story is bigger than just one man. It's about how charisma can become a shield, how fame can silence victims, how society still struggles to believe women, especially when the accused is rich, talented, and loud. We laughed with him. We listened to his ideas. We gave him a second chance, maybe even a third. But now, we're all forced to ask, what did we miss? And more importantly, what do we do now? This trial might end with a verdict, but the real change starts with us. With how we choose to see fame. With how we listen when someone says, "He hurt me." With whether we keep letting charm excuse cruelty. For Russell Brand, the cameras are still rolling. But this isn't a role he can talk his way out of. And for the rest of us, this is our moment to stop laughing and start listening, because behind the show, there are always shadows.
Before pulling her into a toilet and orally raping her in 2004. Brand is also accused of grabbing a radio worker by the face.
Back when he was at the height of his fame. Now a doting father living in America, he has found God. While in chest out, shoulders back, for Russell Brand, known for his rap.